Welcome to Worthy the Podcast, where we have conversations about what it means to feel worthy and what happens when we don't. I'm your host, Jessica Raimondi.
The friendship episode?
Okay. All right, Grace.
How are we going to make it through this?
I don't know. It's going to be great.
Okay.
Oh my. Okay, welcome back to Worthy the Podcast. Wish us luck today. I have on my very best friend in the whole world and business partner and the executive producer of this amazing podcast. She's been doing such a great job.
Truly amazing.
Kemper Jackson.
And for those of you who are interested in my legal name, it's Virginia Kemper Jackson. I go by Kemper. Never have gone by Virginia, but my mother did that to me.
I know. She did do that too.
That's
I can't believe
it's another podcast.
Yeah, like she really did that. But then, well, we'll get into it because the whole name thing. She's got it. It's a great name. And if you know her, if you've seen her, met her, she's such a Kemper.
Definitely not a Virginia.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
And that would have changed the course of our friendship from the jump.
Literally what I was going to say. All right. So as I said, she's my best friend. We just started working together in a very exciting business adventure. As soon as we did that, I immediately asked her to come on and produce the show for and with me because of just how incredible she is as a producer. Can you give us a little background on yourself as far as your career?
Okay. Well,
all the things, but we're gonna start there.
Here's what's wild. It started with you in our living room.
Gotcha.
So I was a broadcast journalism major at Boston University, which is where we met.
Yes. You went to school with Jacqueline. One of my best
Costonis.
friends. Old school homies from Boston.
Yeah. And so I was 17, you were 18. Mm-hmm. We literally met the first weekend of school, but we'll get back to that. So my background is I moved to LA, and I got a job casting for MTV. So I started in casting. I worked in casting for probably about 6 years or so, but I always knew, I know, MTV's next. I know. Always knew that I wanted to produce and tell stories. And that was the point of going into journalism.
Yeah.
And then I found this different way through unscripted television. So that kind of, it got its claws on me and it stuck. And over 20 years later, I'm still doing it.
You really did not stop working for a long time. You were very, very fortunate. Yeah.
I have had a very good, well-rounded career from casting to producing. I've been a showrunner for quite a few years now, mainly doing a lot of food TV because I loved it. I love food. Yeah. I love working with chefs. They're artists. And being able to combine all of that and tell stories, I fell in love with it. But I always knew that at some point in time, my passion would run deeper than the jobs I was being hired to do. And I think that is all about timing, right? And that's what's been the perfect thing about our relationship. My life shifted. I had a child and I can't travel like I used to. I mean, I was traveling all over the world producing shows and I had a blast doing it and I would never change those years.
You were literally gone so much. I think I remember one of the reasons of me and I, when I was leaving was like, Kemper's not even here as much anymore. You were literally on the road so much.
It was. And it was great. And I loved it. And I would never change that. But I don't know. I think that now just passions have changed and shifted. And I think that there's a grind that, I mean, we're probably working harder now than ever.
We really are.
To do our own thing and to launch our own thing. But it's different when it's for us. And it's different when it's for yourself. And when there's a certain level of passion and like you're the final say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I'm going
really
to make sure everything is
Oh,
perfect.
I agree. And I'm so grateful that we're doing it together. So we have a production company called Riddles 3 Productions. And the podcast is one project that we've launched this year. Or I don't know when this is airing, but I'm guessing maybe. Sure, December.
2025.
2025. Yes. And we have some really cool other projects launching and coming down the pipeline. So
we do.
It's been really fun.
It's been wild.
How's it? I know.
I feel like we have not even had a moment to like, it's funny. Okay, so this is about friendship, right? And we have...
Well, we haven't even introduced that yet.
Who are we?
We needed to introduce you first. Yeah.
Okay, so that's me. So that's my background. So the producing, working in TV, working in all kind of aspects of, I mean, Lord, I did a music video at one point, an independent film. But you've been there for the entire ride.
I have.
And it's all been great and fun. But it all was kind of working up to this moment of us now working together, and being a part of producing this podcast has been a dream, and it's been inspiring, and watching you shape into this amazing entertainer, leader, like thought-provoking podcaster, storyteller, executive producer, all the things. It's been really, really cool.
No. Well, I literally could not do it without you. Well, that's how it feels, because I feel like this was such a timely partnership. You know, I feel like like you said, echoing the same thing is like, I mean, can you remember us back when, and can you even imagine, like, would we have ever really thought we would be working together under this capacity?
Okay.
Like, yes and no, right?
Yeah. Wait, so first I want to establish for you, this is the friendship episode.
Welcome to the friendship episode. Yes, and it is. This was, we've been wanting to do this together because we love our friendship, and we feel so lucky to have our friendship and the women that are in our lives particularly, and wanted to share it with you guys, of basically kind of talking about and conversating about what we've learned over the 25 years of our friendship, some of the things we deem valuable and that we want to share, especially if there are, younger women out there or people going through issues with friendships. Just in general, I think it's just a very like positive, hopeful message, and we just were excited to do that together. Does that sum it up?
It does. I think that when you first approached me with this idea, because we talk about as in our producer, producer relationship, because I would say both producers on the podcast.
Yes.
But when we're talking about ideas for the podcast, and you said, you know what, I want to do a friendship episode because friendships are so important, and they're layered and can be complicated, can be messy, can be a lot of things, all packaged into one. And I think that, I don't want to like stereotype or generalize that, I just think that I know at this stage of my life and why this subject resonates with me. I am in my 40s. Yes, I said it. And it has never been more important, the female relationships that I have in my life. They are so important. I wouldn't survive without them. I know. So when you brought up this subject, it's like, yeah, fuck yeah. Like, we have to talk about this.
Yep.
And anybody listening should, there's value, and what is worthy about. It's about value. It's about, finding your value. Where do you lose your value? So this friendship episode made so much sense. And the most important friendship in my life is you.
Thanks for saying that, because for me, it's an area where I've always thrived is in friendships. I come from, a small town outside of Boston. And I'm still on group text with that gang of 13 crazy lunatics that I love so much. They're the best. and how I even know Kemper, as it goes. But I come from such a tightly woven safety net of girlfriends that I've had since basically nursery school, and we're on a text thread every single day, and do I text every day? No, of course it doesn't mean that, but it's like, that's a place that I've always thrived, like I said. But I also gained so much value in being, and I've also established that here and in Miami where I am, like my little groups, our little foursome out here, and then the Miami girls and things like that. But yeah, I think it's so valuable. You knew something rare.
I just want to hit on the Boston girls for a minute, because that, knowing the value of friendship at such a young age, and having such, I mean, whether you knew it or
I'm like,
not,
I don't even know.
like,
I know.
you just came from such a tight group. I never had that growing up. Like, I never had anything like that. And I think that's been a huge,
that's what I hear.
But that's been a theme in our relationship too, is the like, you know, I'm like, is this safe? Can I trust it? Like, I don't know.
Totally. And
you know, what's safe in a friendship. Like,
you didn't.
I just didn't. I didn't have that type of relationship, those types of relationship.
And that really, that's like when we started out, we were not on the same playing field in that sense. But before we get there, because that's a great story, why don't you give the first impressions?
I'm gonna hug a pillow.
I mean, that's the kind of episode it is.
So, first impression of you?
Yeah, like, so let's get to
oh my gosh,
take it
amazing. Back. Okay, so I wore weird jeans for cut off jeans for this, so and socks. So
it's cold here in LA.
First impression. Okay, so it's freshman year. We're
Boston University.
At the Howard Johnson in Kenmore Square.
Yeah.
So, of course, and anybody that knows me that well would be like, yeah, of course you didn't get your housing in on time. I did not get my housing in on time for my application, and they put me in the overflow in the Kenmore Square Howard Johnson, which, by the way, was a fully functioning hotel. Okay, queen-size beds. Like, we had HBO. Actually, we hijacked the HBO, but we had cable. Like, we had TVs. There was a Chinese restaurant at the bottom. I had wonton soup every day. Lava Lounge bar up top, like another Red Sox bar at the bottom. It was a fully functioning hotel. We had no business being there, but we were there. And I met on the fourth floor. I think it was the fourth floor of the Howard Johnson. A girl named Jacqueline Costones. Formerly known as Jacqueline Costones. And at our first RA meeting, she caught my attention. And of course, I'm like this, you know, semi-Southern girl. I consider myself Southern because both of my parents are from the DC area. And I see this being.
She's a force.
She's just like, she's wearing I was wearing the Victoria's Secret bra. Okay, the black sparkling one that was like all the rage in '99.
Was it black or hot pink?
No, it was black.
It
was black and sparkly. They had a hot pink one though.
Yeah.
And so I'm wearing it as a bra. Jacqueline gets up and she's wearing it as a shirt.
That's our Jack.
Okay, that was my first impression of her. I was like, what? And then she started to speak with her Boston
Didn't she have, like,
accent.
the wide-legged army pants?
She had on those like giant cargo army pants.
Yeah,
she
they're
looked like
from
Gwen Stefani.
Yeah,
she looked like Gwen Stefani. Like, you know, but like the Boston dark hair version.
Insane.
Long nails, black lipstick, the whole thing. And I was terrified of her, but also wanted to be her friend. So I'm going to speed this up. I became friends with her, but she invited me out. She was like, what are you doing this weekend? And I had like booze in my dorm room, you know, so I was kind of like,
good move.
I was the alcohol like dealer of the freshmen. And she's like, come with us. All, you know, some of my friends from Boston, whatever. She was from Winthrop. Some of my friends are coming. We're going to an MIT frat party. Okay. It's the first weekend of school. Okay. Like, I want friends. Yeah. Like, cool. Will you be my friend? I'm also terrified of you. Will you be my friend? Mm-hmm. So I walk out of my room down to the elevators, and there are like 15, 16 Winthrop girls dressed to the nine. Mm-hmm. Like, the jewelry, the heels, the like, and then part the C, there was Raimondi wearing fur, and it was like barely September. Yeah. All of this was confusing and exciting to me. And so I go around, I'm meeting everybody, and they're like, Kemper. Jacqueline introduces me as Kemper with the Boston accent. So I'm Kemper, and then she introduces you as Raimondi. Right. Even in my phone to this day, same 617, shout out, number, you are still Raimondi in my phone because I didn't know your name for a very long time.
For a very long time, I literally thought you were Kemper. And I am from Boston, and I speak Bostonian, but I still didn't get that you had an ER at the end of your name.
No.
Yeah, for years.
I think it wasn't until I moved in with you in California that you're like, oh, that's how it's spelled.
Oh, Kemper, yeah.
Yeah.
My first impression of you was so adorable. Like, I was like, oh, we're gonna eat her alive.
And you did.
Yeah, like this group of girls, and we did not let you go though. No. That was the other thing. You were so sweet, so friendly, so personable, easy to be around, fun, but it's like this little preppy. That's how I looked at you, like a little preppy girl.
Absolutely. I had a
Oh my God. She was like vest. Charlotte York, but like with like Samantha underneath.
Yes. Yeah. With an edge.
You were a lot of fun and continue to be.
That's how we found love.
Yeah. It was kind of like love at first sight. Yeah. And then we ended up living together. So, cut to years later, we ended up meeting up in LA, and you needed a place to crash. And I think we went to Vegas. I was like, great, come in. You remember those Boston girls with the fur and the heels? Yeah. We're all going to Vegas. We go every Labor Day weekend.
But mind you, every summer, so I stayed in Boston every summer. And even when Jacqueline spent a couple summers, or maybe it was just one in New York.
Yeah, the one.
All the girls, you included, like you guys all stayed in touch with me. You knew I was in Boston. I was invited to graduation parties. I was invited to house parties. I was invited to the waterfront. Like, Pisco, Alana, like everybody, Michelle, everyone stayed in touch. And I just remember feeling for the first time, like truly, and I wasn't a part of the group, and I'm still like on the outskirts. You know what I mean? Like I didn't grow up with you guys.
You didn't grow up with us,
right?
I mean, that's the only.
But I have never felt more a part of or like cared for by a girl gang. That was the first. And I have girl gangs now in my life, like outside of our friendship. So I do feel very much a part of that. But it was the first time that I, as an outsider, was taken in and truly like taken in. It wasn't just like, oh, she's there, like we'll tolerate her.
No, once we get our claws in you, usually you're not going anywhere.
It was cool.
Yeah, well, it was interesting, and I want to kind of shift into this perspective of it, is that because I had that, once our friendship started to develop, and mostly because you came to stay, and then I asked you to just move in.
Then I never
asked. I wasn't, and this is where like life lesson number one came in for me, or I should say friendship lesson number one came in, is that I really did think that everybody was like where I came from. And because I had such a solid ride or die, come hell or high water, for the most part, group of women, that I just thought everybody had that. I thought everybody got that. We didn't need to explain ourselves much because we know each other our whole lives. There was so much that we got away with each other or accepted about each other just because we know each other so well. And I took that and assumed that it would be the same way making new friends, right? So when I came out to LA, I started my own life. And you were really the first piece that became like my own, one of the first pieces that became like my own experience outside of that, even though we have all this history, right? And we lived together for 8 years?
Something like that.
7 like that, right?
Yeah.
And it was challenging, right?
Sure.
So, and I think this is a really important thing to talk about because of how we got through everything and where we are now. And was just that I remember feeling like I think you felt misunderstood a lot. I think you were always like, not everybody, we would get into like some fights or whatever, probably booze induced, I'm sure back then. Sure, but I remember being frustrated a lot because I had this assumption that why aren't you just like everybody else? Why are you concerned about me in this way? Why are you saying that? And I really was like not on planet Earth, and you taught me so much about what it's like to have to stop and understand the person that is in front of me.
Yeah. I mean, you taught me how to trust. I love that you said that because that's your perspective at that time. Yeah. But I felt that too. Like I felt like we were working through that. But on my end, it was like we got into our first fight. I'll never forget this. Our first fight. And you were like, because we also worked different. We had very different lives. Like I was like up in the morning. That was hard for you to accept, were up late at night, and it was just like, like it was hard.
Yeah, you were like, why are you fucking around so much? I was like, dude,
are you banging pots at 3 a.m.? And you're like, I just got off work.
I was like, I came out here to do my own thing and not be scolded. And you're like, I have to get up at 6.
Yeah.
It was an interesting pairing.
So that was, I mean, there was that dynamic, but, you know, all that aside, I remember our first fight. You got upset about something, and it was probably over. It's usually most of our fights are about the dishes.
Definitely. I am the worst dishwasher.
It's frightening.
Yeah.
Like, you
So
wash dishes in cold water,
know.
and you think that that's okay.
But you think the hot water is supposed to kill bacteria.
No. The hot water is sanitation mixed with soap. Nothing gets clean with cold water.
I mean,
we need a poll.
agree to disagree.
You know what? We need people to comment. We need a poll. Like, can you wash dishes and have them be clean in cold water?
I think that's a great idea. Okay.
Crazy.
We're doing it.
It's crazy.
Moving on.
So anyways, I'm sure our fight was about dishes, and
Probably.
and like, you got very Boston on me. Like, you were passionate, and like, I think you yelled, and it was the first time I've ever had that kind of fight with a friend, with somebody that I like.
Okay, by the way, yeah.
Well, no, but like, we were like in our early 20s, we were figuring it out, right? Yeah. And in your mind, you're like, we're having a fight and we're gonna get over it. In my mind, it was, well, I guess I'm moving out tomorrow. Like this, you know, now I have
game over.
It was game over. I had no idea that you could recover from an abusive relationship. No, it wasn't.
I'm totally.
But like, from a fight, like, I didn't know that you could recover. I didn't know that, and I think that that's such an important topic to talk about too, because it is, you can recover, and you can. Friendship is growth. But in that moment, you were like, what are you talking about? You're moving out. Like, what?
Nobody's going anywhere.
You're like, we had a fight. Get over. You said, we had a fight. Get over yourself.
I definitely said that. That definitely sounds like me. And
you got so bossy. You're like, get over yourself. It's like, what?
Oh my God. Well, yes, we were so young. I was so frustrated because I didn't understand why we were taking it so personally. And sometimes it's like, look, for better or worse, even, you know, how I grew up, even with certain friends, like we would call each other out, you know, and it would be, we'd make fun of each other. We'd call each other out, or we'd get into little like spats, like sisters that, probably raised our voices too loud, probably said things we probably shouldn't. Again, we were 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. But yeah, looking back, it's like, it's not, I really was just wildly concerned and confused as to why you thought you were going anywhere. But it brings me to this point of loyalty, right? Yeah. So that's the other thing. And since we've talked a lot about this in different ways, I think you are a fiercely loyal friend. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to say this, I think that is not as common as we think. Yeah. I was kind of born and bred in that, like, we are loyal, like, to the like, if something goes down, like, we are there, good or bad, for each other. So like, I had that, and you are that way naturally, but yet you kind of you had your own wound coming into this new relationship. I had my own, you know, expectations and wound. Yeah. But I think loyalty is interesting because tell me what you think of loyalty is. Like, tell me how you feel about it.
Loyalty to me, I don't want to use the phrase like ride or die, but loyalty to me is standing by the people that you love, making the choice to stand by them regardless of the outcome, regardless of the situation. Now, there's an exception to every rule, right? Like, if it's like a really unhealthy, abusive, or toxic situation, that is not what I'm talking about. Right. I'm talking about, like, I guess I learned loyalty. Like, there were moments growing up where my mom, I just did not agree with certain things. Yeah. But I stood by her and I defended her regardless. Because I also saw that, like, she's doing her best, you know, and her best was really damn good. But no one's perfect, right? And so I think that's like, I learned that at a young age. I don't know, maybe I inherently was born with like a loyalty like chip inside of me, but loyalty to me is standing by the people that you love and giving them grace when they make mistakes.
Yes.
and weathering the storm with them. It's not bouncing the second that things get a little dicey or uncomfortable. You know, I was raised in a house where it's like, don't let the sun go down on your anger. Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot of good in that. I also think giving space, I've learned in my older years, is also really good. But I think the idea behind it is coming back around to resolution. And even if that resolution, depending on the nature of the situation, even if that resolution is like, hey, we're both just doing our best. Mm-hmm. I don't know where things went wrong here. Do we need to talk this through, or can we move on and give each other grace? Like, it's just,
right. Which
it's not abandoning. And I think that is like,
I was just going to say,
it's like the opposite of abandonment, you know?
Well, and so we're going to get to where this is crossing and where I feel like I know where you and I want to touch on too. It's like, I feel like people are so quick to jump ship. Yeah. I mean, even think about it in romantic relationships, the divorce rate, right? Yeah. People don't stick it out. Now, again, abuse, right? Abuse in any way, psychological, verbal, physical, that is not what we're talking about to withstand something. But I think that there is an ebb and flow to people's lives, and there are versions of ourselves. And sure, not everybody sticks around, right? And you don't have to, but there's something about the people that choose to walk by you no matter what, that have seen all of the versions of you, and that is for sure you. I mean, that is for sure you. That is definitely, I would say, up to a certain point, my girlfriend's back home, but really they stopped seeing that person that I was becoming, you know, at 20 when I left. And then from 20 to now, it's been you know, along with, you know, obviously we have our Asia, Danielle, and that. But there's something to be said about holding space for all the different sides. And like, you have seen me at my absolute worst. And like,
likewise.
Yeah. But like absolute worst in like a funny way. And then like absolute worst in like a really scary way. Yeah.
I mean, but vice versa.
I know. And you've allowed me to ask your forgiveness for some of those times where I think I took advantage of just knowing that you were going to be there. Because I think one of the great things about our friendship that we talk about a lot, that I think we're excited to share, is the safety in it, that we can fall apart in some way, again, in our own way, not abusive or not, you know, outrightly disrespectful to the other person. But there is a safety knowing that we're not going anywhere. Yeah. And so with the loyalty, I think we've proved that over time, where things that could have broken us, right? You know, even just living together. I mean, living with anybody is hard.
It's so hard.
It's so hard.
It's like, everybody's like, oh, it's so fun. We're going to get roommates.
Which we had fun for like 2 years.
Well, and also you have your moment. But that's,
you know what I mean?
Just the same as a romantic relationship.
It's so true.
It's like you have your fun, you have the honeymoon period, and then you have those moments of like ups and downs, because it's like, oh, this was a fun night, and then like the next day it's like, you know.
Yeah, or you get in a fight when you've been...
Whatever, sure. Yeah,
I know.
Or you're just not on the same page.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's... Loyalty to me is also... It's not just giving the person grace. It's giving the person grace and giving them permission to grow and standing next to them in that growth. Maybe, because there have been moments, like I know that there were absolutely moments in our friendship where you were growing, and while I was there, I may not have been like stuck to you like glue, like we are a lot of times. But I was still there holding space for you.
For sure.
And you were growing in a way that you needed to grow without...
marriage, mostly. Yeah, that time.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Even before that.
Even before that, yeah.
Even before that, like your last couple years in LA. And, you know, we weren't living together, but I don't even think, like, I had the awareness at this time, but I have it now. That we've created space for each other to allow the person to grow.
Yeah.
And still remaining loyal. You know, like allowing the person to explore other friendships, giving them permission to. It's silent permission. I'm not saying like it's like
what you think is like a funny thing to say, but it is a real thing, especially when you have like a best friend, right? You know what I mean? Like sometimes if it's like the two of you a lot, like you're like, well, where are you going? What's other what? I mean, my Boston girls are like, what other friends do you have? Nobody else,
right? Right, and that's why I resonate with them so much. I'm like, you're right, girls. Like, why does she need any other friends? This doesn't make sense. But it's giving permission to explore other relationships, grow in life, and I don't know, creating the space for growth. Like it's accepting the growth. Yeah. And I think that is something that is missed a lot. Because you see somebody one way and you put them in a box and they stay in that box.
Lord knows we've both been put in boxes over the years, you know.
Yeah, there's a lot of jokes I want to make about that, but we're gonna
be PG, right? That's
okay. Sorry.
I know what you're gonna say.
It was just I can't.
we'll laugh about that.
We also turn into children.
We do.
Around
we do, as any best close friends do. Everything becomes a sexual joke.
Yeah, of course
everything becomes a joke of some kind related to all the movies that you've watched. When you can't speak anything else. No, I think that's a good point.
Yeah. I mean, it's, don't want to lose the mic. I'm shifting. Post-pregnancy body needs to shift.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think any relationship, romantic, friendship, anything, it's hard. It takes work. It's not.
Thank you for saying that. Yes.
It's not just always easy. And sometimes it's effortless and sometimes it's not. And I think it's being able to identify, trust, also letting go. Okay. It's being able to identify who are those friendships that you want to put the effort into. And that doesn't have to be everyone. And it's okay if it's not everyone. You can have different degrees of friendships, but the ones that you're invested in, you've given time and energy, you showed up when things get dark or when somebody's having a hard time, like you're there to cry on that person's shoulder and vice versa. Like that's not something you just abandon ship when maybe there's a disagreement. And like, Lord, like, listen, we had one last night.
Oh my God.
We were like not on the same page last night.
Literally. And we were, and I mean, it was this quick, but it was still, you know, we both, because when you've been friends for as long as we have, we can know each other with a look. Yeah. How frustrated we are, what our temperature is in a weird way. You know what I mean? Because we just know. I know your body language. I know your tone of voice. You know mine. And like, if I say something in a specific tone of voice, it's, you know, it'll totally. It's so offensive or whatever. I do want to get to the conflict part of it too. But I think back to what you said about that grace. Okay.
Yeah. Grace is so important.
Do you think it's like, I was thinking about this, like, so many friendships, they evolve, right? Friendships evolve over time. You're not the same person at every stage. No. And that's where the grace has to come in, right? It's like, I am not the 18-year-old that left Massachusetts, you know what I mean? But to some of my friends back then, I probably kind of am in a way. Or the 20-year-old that had their first apartment in LA, you know what I mean? Like, I'm this woman who's gone through, you know, many life challenges, also done a lot of work on herself and growth, but I don't talk to, I would say 3/4 of my old friend group anywhere near, like monthly, daily, let alone weekly or daily. Like I talk to them like once a year, but there's like never a missed beat, you know, because they know the core of who I am. But would I say they know exactly the woman that I am today? No. You know what I mean? And then you meet then it's like I meet you and like you have all the reasons to put me in a box, like from you, because you've literally seen these different levels of my, you know, my growth and whatnot. And same with you. But to me, it's like you've always had this, I don't know, this presence about you that just, you have my best interest at heart.
Always.
And I have yours.
Yeah.
And there's something about knowing and trusting that. And I guess if, you know, those of you listening, if you have friends where you're questioning that, that's a time to think about, you know, abandoning ship, right?
Yeah.
But that, like, otherwise, and I also know that what you say to me, right, giving me feedback, anything that you might say that isn't like super favorable or whatever still isn't meant to hurt me.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think we take that for granted a lot. And maybe we don't take it for granted. We miss that.
Yeah.
Sorry, that gets missed.
Yeah.
You know, because you hear the criticism and it's meant to, and no one has perfect delivery, but it's meant to be constructive or to be helpful. I have the worst time receiving any kind of critical feedback. I want to call it critical feedback.
whatever you want to call it. This is one of my, we'll get to that.
It gets critically missed by me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like when I get feedback, I mean, when I was like pregnant, when I, you know, the last couple of years have been really hard. And anytime I would get feedback from the people that really do love me, you included, I would have a hard time hearing it. I really would have a hard time hearing it. I have to go in with
like a shield, umbrella, like
guns
blazing. Yeah, like a smoke bomb. Like I'd have to go in armed, but I had to do. You know, it's like, but you know that behind there is like only love.
Yeah, and I knew that the moments that that's what gave. That was like the warm blanket, and that was like the hug. Once I reflected upon it later. I'm like, wow, this person, and there were a few others, you know, like Lindsay also was one of them, one of the few friends that was like, should I tiptoe through this minefield of hormones?
It was a minefield
to give her critical feedback.
Yeah.
And you guys dared. You walked that and you dared. And I knew that in the long run, once I like could settle my emotions, my nervous system, and reflect back, that everything that was being said to me was out of love, out of kindness, out of care and respect, and wanting the
your best interest at heart.
Always best interest. Yeah. And I think it's important in friendships to be able to weed out truly who has your best interest and who doesn't. Because if you can do that, then you're golden.
But isn't that, it's like almost as simple as that. You know what I mean? And I think that's it's a great meter, you know, for a friendship. It's like, because then it's like, no matter what you say, you're not trying to hurt me. I know that. No. You know what I mean? Or you or one, you know, if you're examining your own friendships at home. And to like, your intentions are pure in a way, you know what I mean? You're a human. You're not going to get your delivery right. You're not going to be in the best mood all the time. Right. No. You're not going, like on a day-to-day, forget if anything happened, right? Forget if you're moving through any big life thing, but just on a day-to-day. Yeah. You know, which is exactly what happened. Like, we've learned in this working relationship now that my brain shuts down at 7. Yeah. And yours turns on at 9:00 p.m.
Fired up.
I mean, we could not have a more opposite energetic work partnership. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like in a sense of like timing, like you really do. You're so used to working at night.
Yeah. And I've had to train myself to work. I don't know. Some of the best writing I do is at night. I've always been that way. It's always been that way.
And for me, it's the morning, believe it or not. So that's like...
Yeah, I like to write at night because it's quiet. Like the world is quiet. Like I feel the buzz of the rest of the world during the day. Even in the morning, I feel the buzz. But at night, when everyone's asleep, like that's when my brain is like... Click. Yeah, let's go.
Not me. My brain wants to detach, decompress, and I need the TV, and me and my shows need to have our relationship time.
Don't get me wrong, I love that too.
Which is from like, you do love that, but you can work too. Like when we started this company, I was like, this is a great example too. Just like we were, can I tell this story? So we've been working in the same time zone for the last month right now, whereas usually I'm in Miami and Kemper's in Los Angeles. And we kind of had that down a little bit, and then getting, working in the same time zone, we're and launching 2 projects. It's been been like a pressure cooker. And
yeah, we did that completely to ourselves. We were like, we are going to launch a podcast on 11/11 because they're magic numbers. And this has to happen now.
And then we have to shoot the holiday episodes for this.
We have to launch a kids show and it has to happen now.
Before the holidays. Right.
That was you. You were like,
I did.
we got to get the holidays in. We got to do this
so.
and that.
I thought it was
I was like, okay, I guess we're going.
So we literally turned the pressure up on our own pressure cooker. But what was funny is that, where was I going with that? Oh, so we obviously working so intensely, building up to this, then launch, month for projects. And then us being in the same place, it's like, we've gotten into some disagreements. We're also figuring out our work relationship, which is awesome because we're so in a place after years of knowing each other and doing so much work to, and we'll get to that work part about a relationship, which I loved you brought up, like doing so much work around ourselves individually, and then also to be like the best, people we can be in each other's lives. So, yeah.
The thing that came up the biggest right at the beginning of you arriving for our month together in LA. Mm-hmm. I realized, and it's so funny because like we don't want to let each other down, right?
That's what I was gonna,
it's so wild. But I know exactly who I partnered with. And this is something you asked this question at the very beginning of this podcast episode. Did you ever think we'd be in this spot? Mm-hmm. And the answer is yeah. Mm-hmm. We've talked about this from our very first apartment on. We've always both been creative spirits, and we're like, what do we do? How do we yes. But neither one of us, if we had done this at any other point in time, somebody might have been killed. Like we probably would have murdered each other. It would have been murder-suicide for sure. Yep. And I feel bad making light of that, but no, those are jokes. But truly, it was not the right time ever prior to now. Like we both had to do the work on ourselves. For sure. We both had to be in a certain place because there's so much pressure and stress in starting a business that we both had to be in a place where we were never going to abandon each other. Mm-hmm. It was the safest relationship of our lives. Mm-hmm. Let's throw a business relationship in there, but why not, right?
I feel like we earned it.
Yeah. That's exactly it. We earned it. And the biggest thing that drives me every day, aside from my child and my mom, is I don't want to let you down. Right. And then we talk about it and we cry.
Oh my God. So this is the funniest story. So this is an epiphany. Mind you, this is why I love our relationship, because we're always having epiphanies about, we're always going back to the table after conflict and reviewing, kind of what happened and why. And we both came up. So we were having disagreements about, I was calling it some sort of power struggle or something, or competition, and you were like, that's not the right word.
You called it competition. I was so pissed.
But it was true. She was, which made her even more mad. And we fight like sisters. We bicker, but it's always usually very quick, very spot. And then we either are emotional and we're just like, I'm sorry, I don't want, but I
don't even want to call it. I think a fight is too strong of a word. Yeah, because a fight is when you're a spat, angry, and there's it's whatever. I would say we have disagreements.
Yes. Yeah.
And there have been challenging moments.
Sure.
Critical feedback.
She got a big old smile on her face right now.
Challenging moments, but I don't want to call it a fight. Yeah. Because I think a fight is too strong of a word for what transpires between us. It's we're not on the same page. Yeah. We are both dead honest about it. Mm-hmm.
I'm obviously very hungry.
Always when you're hungry.
Always. We're actually trying to navigate around it.
Yeah. It's I feel like we need an in-house chef. We're going to get that someday. But it's more of we aren't on the same page and we're so honest about it, but then we get emotional because it's never we never yell at each other.
Never, and never say mean things to each other ever. Yeah.
No.
And I think when you realize, when we were doing this, that we both just want each other to be proud. We want to, we want that validation from one another. Yeah. And what I brought up to you was this is, me going into this novice position of this, this new role that I'm taking on in my career. I learned something new, and I'm just kind of stepping into a world that you're familiar with, maybe not the podcast, but production and whatnot. And we're learning, so we're both learning something new, but I'm also feeling very at that beginner stage, and you're like, and it was just all the stuff, but we realized we were feeling the same thing, which was we want the other to be proud. We don't want to disappoint the other person. So any tone of voice that was like, maybe we did this wrong or this wasn't good enough, where it should just be like a business conversation. It's like, we can't not take it personally. So we're arguing, and this is perfect, Jess and Kemper, where we had gotten laser treatments on our face.
Yeah.
And we're having
that melasma, post baby melasma.
I mean, look, we're keeping ourselves healthy in our 40s.
We're in our 40s.
So, and we're having this disagreement while our faces are peeling off. And we just, in the middle of it, just started laughing.
We were crying first.
That's what I mean. We were crying.
The tears with the skin.
And then you're like, we're just sitting here.
Falling down. Our faces are melting off.
Oh my God.
Crying. And I don't even,
it was perfect.
We just interrupted each other. We're like, oh my God, look at you.
This is awesome. We're going to talk about this one for a while. Forever. Yeah. Well, and going to the point of conflict for a moment, like, I think also, it's like in relationships too, it's a conflict is inevitable, right? I think it's how we deal with it in the communication. First of all, the accountability that happens that we need to do. And I think that you and I have always done really well. I think, and I'm going to give this to you, that even in conflict, like, you might be really hard to talk to sometimes.
Yeah, totally.
So am I, right? Yeah. Or can be. We both can be.
Sure.
Let's say it that way.
We can also both be great.
We can also be excellent at it, of course.
But it's harder with each other to be that way because we're more accustomed to just being raw and not
filtering.
Filtering. That's exactly right. Yeah. Where we filter with other people.
Yeah, we don't do that at all.
We don't do that with each other.
I wouldn't really change that either.
No, I don't. Yeah.
I mean, we try. I think we stay as respectful in those conflicts
totally
as possible.
Respectful.
Yeah. But what I love about you, and I think that both of us also do well, you always, like, again, it might be hard to initially talk to you, but then you always come back with a, like, I'm really sorry that happened, whatever. And I feel like I've been trying to be really aware of that the last couple of years, to, like, text you, like, I didn't mean, I'm sorry that I said that or whatever. Yeah. I feel like we can clean up our shit, maybe not in the moment, but we can take accountability because I think that's important, because we have such a level of comfort, and I'm sure a lot of people out there have had really long-term friendships, but you think, like, just because I've known you, doesn't mean that I can't, like, you should just know me and I can just get, we can have this fight, but I don't need to. I still think saying I'm sorry and taking accountability is important. And I think we do that really well.
We absolutely do. It's so important. There's no true resolution without accountability.
I agree.
I mean, you can reach it on your own, and that's what therapy's for. Yeah. God bless her. Yeah. But, like, without accountability with the other person, it doesn't ever really get resolved. I think it's important. I think taking accountability is important, and at least taking accountability for how the other person that you love.
Correct.
Because remember, that's at the base of all of this. And that's what I try to remind myself. It's like, do I love this person? Yes, I do. So what are they feeling? Do I agree with it? Maybe not. But are they feeling a certain way? And do I need to take a look at that? Because I don't want them hurting. I don't want them to feel this way.
And I think accountability is the opposite of avoidance, right? Because I think a lot of people are, in my opinion, I think people do not handle conflict well or at all. And I think that is just, in my opinion, again, is like a lack of courage to say hard things, to have difficult conversations. God knows I've been there, in other types of relationships, just not wanting to say the thing, not wanting to stir the pot, not wanting to get the reaction, but it's so damaging not to, because I think with conflict, and I think you and I, again, something that we do well is the grace and also the opportunity for that person to be better by saying that hard conversation. Look, that really hurt, or I want to point out this behavior that's been occurring, or this pattern, right? Maybe you could think of it this way, or this makes me feel that way. Maybe it's not your intention, but this makes me feel this way when you say it like that, right? And I think in a relationship that you actually care about, to give that person the opportunity to grow. I think we owe that to each other, you know? How do you feel about that?
Absolutely. I mean, if we're not giving, as humans relating, if we're not giving each other the opportunity to grow, then what's the point? Because you have to grow in a safe space. Yeah. So the only way to truly grow is to grow in a safe space. And if you aren't creating a safe space for the people that you love, how are they going to grow? It's the same thing with children, you know, and I've learned this more now than ever being a mom. If I don't create a safe space for my daughter, how is she going to grow? How is she going to learn that, you know, it's okay to make a mistake? Because I've got my mom there, my friend there, that's going to say, hey, you did your best. Let's try it differently. Whatever it is, whatever the language is, I'm still trying to figure it out as a mom, how to like support her in those challenging moments. But it's the only thing I know to do is to create a safe space for her to make mistakes, to fall and get back up again, and to grow. Without that,
I think that's just the most perfect way to put it. It's like you can't grow where it's not safe to grow.
No.
You know, and I think, but it saddens me. It saddens me that people look, that isn't offered enough. I think in friendships where people are so quick to walk away, to not put the effort into making, you know, having that conversation that could heal. You know, I don't know. That just always bothered me.
I think it comes down a little bit to circling it back around to value, and how much you value the friendship. Do you value the friendship enough to put the effort in? Yeah. Enough to take the bumps?
To be uncomfortable for a second?
Be uncomfortable? Yeah, for sure. You know, do you value yourself enough to recognize the time you've put in, the effort, the energy, the love? I don't know. I think it's like it's all kind of ties into this topic of self-worth. It ties into how we value ourselves, and then in turn how we value our friendships. I think it's all connected. I don't know how. I'm not.
Yeah, I think it is.
I'm not a guru.
No, I think healthy relationships support our worth and value because it reflects us. It reflects back to us. You know, I think if you think about like any relationship, they say, you know, I've heard it said many times, like we attract from where we are. Right. And we attract the people into our lives from where we're at, like kind of vibrating energetically. Yeah. And again, that grows and changes. So also there's been many times where I've grown and know that person didn't come with me because they stayed way down here. emotionally, you know, I've lost other relationships, you know, because we just weren't on the same level, on the same wavelength, you know, and that those are tough decisions too. But I think there's something about sticking with it sounds bad, but like being able to have hard conversations. Yeah. Being able to resolve conflict in a way that respects and honors the relationship, like that you said, like the amount of time we've put in, you know.
But I do think that it's important to know when a relationship has had its course. Yeah. And it's a tough one. That's a hard thing to know. Yeah. I don't have the answers to that. I don't know that. I think that it finds its way when it needs to. I know that is never going to happen here because we're tethered for life.
Don't make me find you. Your daughter's already attached to me coming over every day. Why are you coming over to my house every day? I'm like, do you want me to go back to Miami? Like, you weirdo.
It's the best.
No. I think
it's interesting. I think at the core of it all, though, we as human beings were not meant to go through this life alone. Mm-hmm. And I think that what I've discovered the older I get, I had this idea of what life would look like. And I'm very much that personality that would be like, okay, by this age, I'm going to own a house, I'm going to be married, and I'm going to have this, and I want 3 kids, and I want this kind of dog, and I want to live here, and I want to be doing this, and this is, and I had it all mapped out in my brain, and then life happened, and none of that actually shaped out the way that I thought it was going to. And I don't look at that as like a sad thing. I look at that as a beautiful thing. My life shaped out the way that it was supposed to. And the way that I wanted it to, you know? It wasn't just like it happened to me.
Yeah.
Like I took a strong hand in shaping it the way that it is. But the point is, I think I thought one thing about relationships and what the point of life and all of that. Mm-hmm. And where I've circled back to is that we as human beings are not meant to charge through life alone. And that doesn't mean that like we're supposed to be in a romantic relationship. Sure, like that's always nice. But the most important relationship in my mind, it's the friendships. Because if the romantic relationship doesn't work out, okay, you know, you peacefully, hopefully move on. You know, sometimes family relationships don't work out the way that you had hoped. Like you're forced into being in a family with these people that you share blood with or that you were raised with, whatever the situation is. But maybe, you know, maybe they're not like the choice of like, I'm lucky. I have, you know, my brothers are my best friends, but that's not always the case, right?
Yeah.
So family isn't a choice. But your friends are a choice. Mm-hmm. You get to choose who you march through life with. Yeah. You get to choose who you want to hold hands with and laugh and cry and like, you know, go through all the messy stuff and the fun stuff and vacation with. And that's like a really special thing. And I think especially female relationships, I'll say it. Yeah. I think they're the best.
They're the best.
They're just the best.
They are. They really are. We've had such, I mean, like, we've combined groups. We've done things just us. Like, we've had, I mean, the best time. And I'm forever grateful, like, to have these relationships and ours included to, like, fall back on. I mean, God knows I have fallen, you know, and luckily have had, you know, especially out of relationships. I was married, went through divorce, and had my own life going on because my friendships have been such a priority for me.
Yeah, you've always done a really great job at prioritizing your friendships, nurturing your friendships, because just like a plant, it needs to be watered, it needs to be nurtured.
Can't be neglected.
You know? Yeah. It cannot be neglected, and I think that that's a really beautiful thing that you've taught me. You taught me how to be a friend. Early on, you taught me the importance of friendship, and I think I was kind of marching through life a little bit alone.
Yeah.
And used to being alone.
Well, were carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders when I met you.
Yeah, it felt that way.
You know, I mean, you were very much doing that, you know, for many reasons, but you needed somebody to help take the load off.
And you did. And I didn't even know
I remember thinking, I was like, she's carrying way too much.
Yeah. I didn't even know that was possible. That's how crazy it is. I didn't know that it was possible to share that load with a friend that would be a friend for life. Like, I didn't know that it was possible to have a fight, because those were fights back then. They aren't now. They're challenging moments now, but they were fights back then.
They were.
To have a fight with somebody that you love and then to like still be friends? What?
Yeah.
You taught me how to show up as a friend, how to be a friend, how to be truly, I think the loyalty thing is ingrained, but you really taught me how to be loyal and be there. And we've had a lot of those moments throughout.
For sure.
It's been wild.
Same. Thanks, buddy. I love it. I'm so excited to see what we do next.
I know.
Are you ready for our questions?
Can we do quick fire questions?
Yeah, quick fire questions. Okay, I'm going to go first.
Okay, go. I'm pulling up I'm not being rude, I'm pulling up my phone just as a reminder. Okay, go.
Okay, if you could go back to one time in our friendship, like one little period, what would you do? Like, what was your favorite, if you could revisit one?
If I could revisit a moment?
Like a moment, like a moment in time, like not a specific memory necessarily, but like a time period.
Oh, that is hard.
I know, right?
I'm going to say, I know this is going to sound crazy, But I think our first apartment.
That's what I was going to say.
It's our first, that apartment was so great. We had so much fun.
Baby.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, Rossmore. Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I would too.
Okay, so that's similar to my question.
Okay,
Best moment shared together. Like your favorite moment.
Oh my God. Honestly, I'm going to go with the most recent was when your daughter was born. And not that, that was amazing. But when I came out to assist you in momming, and I was holding your child and being like, why is she crying? I don't know, we changed her diaper, and you were like, I don't know, Jessica, I've never had a baby before. We're in this together now. Like, you got to figure it out too. And I was like, oh shit, we have a baby. I mean, it was just one for the books. Yeah.
That was one of my favorite moments too.
Okay.
I would also say one of my favorite moments.
Yeah.
Our weekend in New York.
Oh my God.
Right before Junie was born.
Yeah.
Before it was
conceived, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right before she was conceived. It was about a year before.
Right. Okay.
It was
I thought
kind
you were
of in
saying
that
months.
same
No. It was a year before. Right.
Period. But it was
that was the best.
Yeah.
Well, which one? We've had two. So
it was the one where we ended up at church.
Oh my God.
I'm going to leave it at that. We don't need to give details.
That right there.
We went
that
to
moment
church.
of walking into church.
We went to church.
But it was an underground club that we, and it was also a private party that we just.
We're just going to leave it there.
That
we went to church.
We
We know what that means.
Okay. How about, what was the other one I was going to say? What is something, what's one of the most annoying things that I do?
That's literally the question I was going to ask.
I just marked my other thing.
That's literally my next question.
Oh, I can't. All right, let's
go. The most
go.
annoying thing that you do?
Yeah.
Eat.
Yeah. I would say everybody in my life. And the need to eat.
Well, your need to eat coupled with when you actually eat. You eat
inhale.
Like we're in a depression.
I do.
And you haven't seen food for weeks.
I also eat like I've had like 16 brothers. Like, and never got the food. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have two brothers. I had to fight for food. I do not eat like that.
Okay.
It's a situation. Okay, most annoying thing about me.
Oh, this one's easy. Because it's so Kemper but it's like now Kemper, but it's like forever something you would do. It's every time we're out and we walk by a mom and her kid, or we're in line, right? And particularly if it's just the two of us, it's like, how old is yours? I have a toddler at home. I also have a 3-year-old at home. And every person she has to tell, every mother and parent.
Is she in school?
Is she in school?
Are you thinking about
I love that
yet?
age. It's like, I'm like, hello.
Better get on the wait list.
Oh my God.
What's wrong with me?
I don't know. You become that way.
I hated those people. I'm like, oh my God, shut the fuck up.
I want to be like, she was never like this, dude.
Never.
Yeah.
Never. And then I see somebody with a kid and I'm like, hi.
Yeah. How old is she? I have a little 2-year-old at home, little girl. And I'm like, oh
my gosh, does yours dance? Because mine does.
Oh, okay,
and then it becomes a weird, like, this is the Aries in me where everything becomes a competition. I'm like, so how old was yours?
The one-upper. One-upper.
Oh,
that would be my second.
My whole life.
That's my second annoying thing she does.
Like, so.
Yeah.
What age was yours when they started walking?
Oh, well, mine goes to this school.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny.
Oh, she was eating solid foods when she was 2 months old.
Oh, she was walking before that. We will be doing an Instagram video on this, so it'll be funny. Okay. Go ahead.
I was gonna tee up. Mm-hmm. Okay, my favorite Christmas movie.
Your favorite Christmas movie?
Yeah, what's my favorite Christmas movie?
Okay, so this is like a quiz. No, wait, I know this. It's not the Nutcracker. It's like a funny movie. You're talking about like a funny movie.
I don't know. Not necessarily.
Home Alone?
No.
Wait.
White Christmas.
Oh, okay.
Elf.
Classic.
Yeah.
Elf.
Yeah.
Elf
is my second.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although I have another one that I love too, Family Man with Nicolas Cage.
It's so good.
We love that.
We love that movie. Mm-hmm. Okay. What do you value the most in friendship?
Ooh, the most. Understanding. Like I wanted to say like non-judgment, but that we always judge, but I think an understanding of the individual in front of us.
Ooh, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
I think showing up.
For you?
Yeah.
Showing up.
Like, I think showing up is the most important thing to me, which has never been an issue with us.
No.
But I think that ties with loyalty.
Well, yeah, and care and consideration, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But there's also been times like I feel like I couldn't show up too, and we have to say that too.
But
like
you,
sometimes
yeah.
you do, but you can show up. There's many different ways to show up.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't mean physically.
Okay.
I just mean like
for sure.
emotionally.
For sure.
Okay, most pivotal moment in our friendship, like the moment that it was like, okay, yeah, lifers.
I think when Michelle's mom died. Yeah. Well, the way you showed up for us, I knew you were going to be in our lives forever. Yeah. Because that was early enough, I feel like. Yeah, so my friend's mom died suddenly, and she kind of came to the rescue, flew back to Boston with me, and really took care of all of us at that time. It was a very tragic situation, and I'm pretty sure that's when everyone fell in love with you more too. Yeah, and your mom.
Oh, yeah. Mom was like there, but not there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yours?
Ooh. Okay, well, that threw me.
You didn't think I was going to say that?
No, I didn't. Because I didn't forget about that. I think about that moment all the time. Remember, I spent the night at Michelle's house that night right before. Yeah. No, I'll never forget that. I don't know exactly when it was. It was definitely in the first couple years. But you started talking about my dad in a way that no one ever did. And you never even met him. And you talked about him like you knew him, and he knew you, and he knew us.
Really?
Yeah. And I remember that. And I remember, I think it was at our second or third apartment, and you never forgot his death day.
June 9th.
And you never forgot his birthday in August. You would always check in. And even if you kind of weren't
it was around there.
The exact date, you'd be like, hey, isn't your dad's birthday coming up?
Yeah.
And then you would always talk about him if he was here, he would think A, B, C, and X, Y, and Z. And then you would tell me how proud, certain moments, I would, I don't know, land the next job or whatever it was. And you were in my immediate every day, and you would talk for my dad.
I don't even remember necessarily even doing that. That's so
yeah.
funny. But
well, you still do.
I was gonna say I think I just assume he's around.
Yeah,
so.
You still do, and you did when my daughter was born, and you did when I was pregnant. And every amazing moment, small or big, and then in every hard moment, you would always make sure to bring him up. And I think that keeping his spirit alive for me in a way that my mom did, but it's different. It's different when it's a friend, when it's your life partner. And I think that's when I was like, oh, she's my life partner.
Yeah,
because you
not
get
a lot of people remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, you get it. You knew that that was the part of me that I needed. I'm gonna cry.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that
it was always something that I wanted for you,
yeah.
That I knew was missing and irreplaceable in so many ways, but something that affected you, it still does.
We walked around that apartment that you had with Todd, and you said, I think I was getting over a breakup. I was. And you said, sometimes I feel like you just didn't get enough hugs from a dad as a kid. They stopped at age 11.
Yep.
And you're like, I want to give you more hugs.
Yeah.
And you said that to me, and I will
always
never forget that moment. And that's when I knew, I was like, this is, we're lifers.
Oh my God, I love it. Okay, last question. Proudest moment?
Watching you work the way that you have worked in the last couple of months.
Oh, buddy.
Especially this month that you've been here in LA. I always knew you had it in you. And I saw you throw yourself into yoga. That came very naturally for you. but watching you basically become tech services of our company,
tech
support, I
support,
am terrified
which I am
of
not.
doing.
I'm not savvy, but I'm savvy enough. Or I'm figuring it out.
I would wake up to emails, because I would fall asleep when I put my daughter down, and then I'd wake up a few hours later, and then I'd do the like midnight to 4 a.m. graveyard shift of working like a total psychopath. Yeah. But I would wake up from my nap, and I'd see a slew of emails, and like sometimes you were still up, and we'd connect over text. You've never worked so hard in all of your life.
Oh, buddy.
You've never earned your seat at the table more. You deserve everything that's coming to you. This podcast, the energy you've put towards spreading your message and your love, which, by the way, like, that's pretty awesome. That your passion in life is to help others find language and healing. And I'm just so proud of you. And I stand so fully shoulder to shoulder with you in all of this in awe.
Buddy.
Of the woman that you are and the way you stand in your truth. But like watching you work has been really one of the most, I've been proud of you in so many moments, but like this one is just, it's like,
it's really motivating.
It's really incredible watching you work like this.
Thank you so much. I mean, honestly, I think us doing it together makes it so much more fun. And it's weird because I really don't feel like it's work, which is wild. And I don't care about working until 11 p.m. because it's like, it's our thing.
It's because you found your thing.
Yeah. My proudest moment of you, it was a toss-up because you've had an outstanding career that you have worked so hard and just really made a name for yourself in that industry. And I just always something that I was just beaming with because you work, your work ethic is like second to none, but you being a mother. Like, I have never forgotten what it was like before another human being came into this world more than I do now. Like, you right away, you never lost yourself. Like, I'm not talking about postpartums and things that happen with hormones. I just mean like you became even more of who you are. Yeah. Like I didn't know what was going to happen when this little person came into our dynamic. I was like, yo, bros before hoes.
Bros before hoes.
Which is our funny personal joke. Okay, so, but yeah, I really, watching you just step into this role was like the role of a lifetime. And it's like, it makes me so emotional every time I see you, if I actually like really watch you for a second or when I leave you, and you guys, so.
It's cool. It's the greatest journey. She's awesome. She makes me who I am. Yeah. It's wild.
She might have a little effect on me too.
Obviously.
Gigi.
Obviously, Gigi.
I know. She's awesome. Well, buddy, I am so glad we did this. I think it's I hope it resonates with you guys out there listening. I'm super grateful for you. I can't wait to share with these people more of what we're going to do.
I know. It's exciting.
Yeah. I love you so much.
I love you.
Thank you.
It's our love letter.
It's our love letter.
It's our worthy love letter.
Yes. Yay. Enjoy it. Thank you. We'll see you on the next episode. Thanks for listening to this episode of Worthy the Podcast. Our goal is to build a community, and we do that through people like you who listen, subscribe, and most importantly, share with someone you care about. Be sure to follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening, as well as our YouTube channel. And if this episode resonated with you, leave a review. We want to hear from you. Thanks for being here, and remember, you've always been enough. Period. This podcast is meant to inspire and educate, but I am not a licensed therapist or medical professional. Everything shared here is based on personal experience and perspective, so take what resonates and leave the rest.